Hey guys, D1sco here. So apparently earlier, Behavior posted the Dead by Daylight developer update for January of 2024. I didn't know this released. I've been kind of out of it the last few days. Today. Um, just like I've been sleeping a lot. I don't know when it will release, but I did record a video where I talked on it. The reason I don't know when it will release is because it requires a video. Um, it requires a video we can't upload right now to be uploaded. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a very short 100 sub special where I mentioned why it was why everything's kind of gotten screwed up a little bit for our channel, so I'll just read it. So just watch that, because I go into it a little bit more. And I have plans to make a better 100 sub special video at some point if the problem doesn't get fixed. But regardless, today I'm going to react to the developer update for January 2024, which also seems to encompass the PTB changes, because those are going to be in the live game soon. Alan Wake will also be in the live game soon. I don't know when I'll be able to get Alan, so it might be a while before I can do his, before I can do my add-up attempts of Alan Wake. But still, I only know one thing. If this is going to be real fast right before I get in here, I know one thing about this. All that I know about that is that nobody's happy about Sadako. So I'm a little scared because she's the first thing they're talking about. But let's just jump into this. We're a few weeks into the new year, and that can only mean two things. One, most of us have broken our resolutions already, to name and make one. And two, it's time for us to recap our first PTB at the end of this overall day. We'll discuss the feedback we've received from the most recent PTB and the changes we'll be making before the update goes live. D1sco, aka Sadako. This update, we aim to restore the gameplay longtime Sadako fans have missed, while also maintaining some of the more recent quality of life improvements. So, okay, so that first sentence is still interesting to me because I don't really, because, so in my personal experience with Dead by Daylight, I have seen very few, if any, Sadako players before that last major update they gave her. And the reason for that is because, well, she wasn't great. Sure, she had some cool things, and I think that's what they, as they kind of said, they wanted to bring some of that stuff back. But the problem was she was just lacking in too many areas, to the point where she was considered by Astarva, who a lot of people by the opinions of the second worst killer in the game, second only to Trapper. I feel bad for Trapper, but anyways, but for me, but at the same time, Dowsey put her in A tier, and this was of course back when he even played the game. Dowsey put her in his A tier, and a lot of people gave him some crap on that. I had a friend who thought she was S tier. She was in a weird spot because Condemned wasn't really a thing you could do with her, but she was a very solid killer. So I'm very scared, if you couldn't tell, about what they're doing to her. We were glad to see such a positive reaction to PTB. However, there are a few rough edges we would like to iron out before this update releases. Which is behavior talk for. We're going to apparently fucking murder this killer, and none of you are going to touch her over again. I don't get what. Again, I'm very scared of what in Condemned. With your current Condemned's progress becoming permanent when you were hooked, survivors who were hooked with several stacks became a clear target for. So I'll take a few more stacks to condense to secure a quick and early kill. This indirectly encouraged the killer to seek out and chase the same survivor after they were unhooked, or tunneling for short. To tone this down, hooking a survivor are now locked in a maximum of 2 stacks of condemned. Any additional condemned will remain but can't be removed. Survivor is normal. This can happen again when the survivor is hooked for a second time for a maximum of 4 locked in stacks. This will give survivors an opportunity to remove some of their condemned after they are unhooked, while keeping condemned kills as a far more prominent threat later in the match. So that part, so the locked in condemned, so far, I don't have any problems with. So I want to clarify, I'm going into this video with zero knowledge of any of the changes. All that I know is that people are pissed. I know Orange told me Starvo was pissed. I saw some YouTube comments on a community post Behavior did, I think today, about what I'm currently reacting to, and everybody was pissed about this particular killer. So whatever they do here, so I can already tell you that they're 100% going to revert a lot of this stuff, because Behavior is interesting. There's been plenty of memes around Behavior for weird things like constantly nerfing Pig even though she didn't need it, so she just became super bad, just never touching Blight's add-ons and touching even more recent characters over his add-ons, yada yada yada. But even when I've been playing the game, I've gotten frustrated by quite a bit of Behavior's decisions. But what's interesting is somewhat recently it kind of felt like, and who knows if these are just empty words or not, but it kind of felt like they were at least publicly saying we want to listen to our fans more, which if they actually do, then that's huge, because there's very few, if any, other video game companies doing that. Ubisoft the Ubisoft CEO pissed off so pretty much all the people that play their games with his statement. I'm still kind of upset about that too. Bethesda's an absolute nightmare that I don't know if you can ever fix. And of course, Nintendo is pretty well known for like screwing over fans. They tried to do a thing with YouTube that was going to pretty much they did a thing on YouTube that pretty much killed the interest in making videos about Nintendo games, because Nintendo's taking like a very large cut of the money and like a few other things. But if Behavior is actually listening to their fans like they have been claiming recently that they do, that would be huge, because I started thinking about something random apparently. That would be huge because it would show that there is at least one company that is somewhat listening. But so yeah, I personally have no problems with the locked in condemned, but that's just me. projection spamming, I don't know how to feel. Again, I know she's a lot worse, so regardless of what I say, they're pretty much changing this regardless of what I say. But the reason why I kind of like the condensed axis, well, is just because I think it's definitely a good idea, because that does kind of unintentional, because there could be some tunneling because of that, and they didn't want that to be a problem. Right, they've been trying to remove camping and tunneling for a while. They've been trying to get rid of those very annoying playstyles, and they've only been able to get so far with that, because you can only get so far with that. But so I feel like, if for anyone who's super angry about that, is probably just, I feel like they might just be a little butthurt that you won't be able to get kills anymore, because, you know. But regardless, it'll be interesting to see what they do because of all of the hate, and I'm very excited to see what they say at that point. Projection spamming. One of the most awkward playstyles we wanted to address was this update was the dominant strategy of teleporting as much as possible to quickly spring condemned. That's interesting, because here's the thing. Sadako had before this PTB and the changes I'm currently bringing to you, she had a cooldown. The cooldown, I don't believe, was super long, but she did have a cooldown, because they like basically they buffed Condemned up a lot because they wanted to be more prominent, but then they made it so she couldn't teleport as much, like as often, because they put it on a cooldown and whatnot, and a few other little changes. So, and then whereas in the PTB, they changed some of that stuff, but allowed her to pretty much always teleport, which I kind of felt like was interesting, because they said that they didn't want her to do whatever, but then she could teleport infinitely. Like, okay. We had hoped that limiting the range of Condemned to Power TVs would all address this and allow us to remove the projection cooldown. Oh, so they want, okay, I kind of understand. So they were hoping to remove, because remember, so they were trying to basically make condemning harder a little bit, so you could have that funness of teleporting a lot, because you didn't have to go on cooldown anymore. But here's the problem with that behavior. He was certainly not watching this video, because quite frankly, nobody really watches our videos, and I think from my understanding, from what With the Life Looks, it looks like YouTube doesn't even push out our video, like hasn't been pushing out quite a lot of our videos. So if you guys enjoy the videos I make, or the videos Orange makes, or the videos we make together, please, do all the algorithmic stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share the video. Not many people do that one, but some people do, because that would help us out. But anyways, but if you are watching this behavior, yeah, that's always going to be a concern. A character's power being related to a thing you're wanting to make infinite isn't really going to work out for you. And I remember seeing some comments that were basically like, I remember seeing a comment that was jokingly being like, so, basically being like, again, this is supposed to be like mocking, behaviors, decisions with her, but basically being like, we made this killer, but we don't want them to use their power, but we're giving them power anyways. Like,
or something along those lines. I don't really remember the wording. However, some crafty sadako players discovered that they could essentially teleport to the wrong TV's version or to spread more than one stack of condemned to survivors near/heading towards the powered one. Clever. I'm assuming projection spamming is what people are probably mostly complaining about. So let's see if I'm right. We've read a lot of positive comments saying that she feels better. The play without a cooldown on teleporting, so we do not want to bring it back. Instead, we have made the following changes. The power meter recharges over the course of 10 meters. Or 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 meters. Yeah, that's the correct wording. Interesting.
So they're giving her a cooldown on how much you can teleport and whatnot again, and it's 10 seconds. Which, honestly, for this game, 10 seconds really isn't a whole lot of time. Okay, it kind of is. But a lot of players, most players get very sucked into Dead by Daylight. Me and Orange do as well. Even if we don't play the game super often, we do get sucked into it. So I guess what I'm kind of trying to say is, if you're getting sucked into it, the 10 seconds might, should be over somewhat quickly. At least feeling like it is. If the power meter is full, projecting will inflict one stack of condemn to any survivor near power TV and empty the power meter. Oh. There it is. Oh, I think I found why people hate this. That's not good. Well, let me explain. So, so every 10 seconds you can teleport to a TV and give one single stack of condemned to anyone who happens to near it, and then you immediately have to wait for 10 seconds again. Now here's the problem. This change very much feels like original Sadako. Let me explain. When Sadako launched, she was not played very much for a reason, and a big portion of that was Condemned. Condemned was pretty much useless to go for with old Sadako. Just because like the tapes didn't give much to the survivors, and she herself couldn't give Condemned very much. So it was kind of just this awkward thing. And then when they went, and this kind of feels like that a bit, because they're slowing down how much Condemned they can give, and that's fine. But when they gave her that last like major change, it kind of showed that you can have Sadako give a lot of Condemned. It just depends on the players. As an example, Orange has played both on my account, and his account was that Sadako, and he found that on my account, for whatever reason, a lot of players he was getting when he was on my account were getting rid of their Condemned a lot, whereas players on his account, for whatever reason, wouldn't even bother with the Condemned. And so what was happening was, anytime Orange like got multiple 4Ks via the Condemned Mori, whereas on my account he still does super well as her and still enjoyed playing as her and all that. And here at Orange Disco Incorporated, both of, even though I can't play her well at all to save my life, both of us absolutely love this character. So yeah, the fact that the changes so the fact that is such a major nerf to her is very unfortunate, and it makes me very upset. If the power meter is not full, oh god, projecting will not inflict Condemned, and the power meter not produce that. So I will say, I do kind of like that, even if you don't have your power meter, like
that while you're waiting those 10 seconds, I think it's interesting that while you're waiting those 10 seconds, you can still teleport. But what's the point of teleporting? Because, you know, you're not gonna inflict, you're not inflicting condemned. So it's just like, well, what's the point? This will allow Sadako to move around the map freely, so long as there are power TVs to project you, but prevent quickly blank at that by repeatedly teleporting the TVs. Remember, dear viewers, if any of you actually made it this far into the video, I would be surprised considering how little these videos get watched and how little our channel in general get watched. But remember that they took a insane amount of backlash by pretty much everybody for what I just went over. So Sadako will hopefully be getting changed back in some ways. Again, if I were behavior and I was looking, okay, how can I revert these changes? And now I might get sniped tonight for this. I might get sniped tonight when this video releases for this. But I do think that keeping the like locking on mechanic of going from 2 and then next time you hook them to 4 is a pretty solid change, and I think it's a very solid idea as well, because it gets like locked. Because like I do like that you can lock condemned, so that way the survivor always has a certain amount, and obviously that can make some tunneling and camping happen. So it's nice that there's some leeway there with, so I do like that change. I would mostly focus on that projection one because that's just terrible. I'm not the best player at this game, but I do feel like I'm good enough to make these type of videos. Reacting to the patch notes because I have a lot of time and experience with the game. So even though I'm not a great killer player and I'm an absolute dog shit player in general, to the point where I call myself to the point where I am the worst Dead by Daylight player of all time, and I played this game very, very little. If I still love the game, but the game has evolved away from me in terms of allowing me to do anything. So I very much play the game less and less, and I'm happy that I'm not playing it a whole lot anymore, just because I'm getting this nice good break in and I'm not having to worry about it. So that's good. But yeah, so we'll see what if behavior does revert on the changes back or not. It'll be interesting to see. What sort of the direction they go in. Anyways, the Blight, who was all add-ons. The Blight received a bunch of add-on changes during PTB. After watching closely and reviewing feedback, we have identified a few troublemaking add-ons which we would like to address before the update releases. Compound 33. On the PTP, this add-on increased the Blight's turn rate by 33% for each consecutive rush. This effect ended up being stronger than we'd like and made rush attacks very difficult for us to avoid. I already suck at that, so you could play Blight with no perks and no add-ons, and you will rush me to death. I'm not good against Blight. We've reduced the turn rate bonus to 11% per consecutive rush, was for 3%. That is a major change. That is a lot gone. That is 22% just gone. Dang. We've also reduced the required rush distance to 3 meters, was 4 meters. This is like it's at 3 times. Interesting. So I guess you like can rush even less now, but you also have less of a bonus. Interesting. 5. Iridescent Blade Tag. On the PTB, this add-on gave the blade an endless supply of rushes to exchange for putting its power on cooldown. After a successful rush attack, it turned out this downside was not enough to keep this add-on under control, so we've made a few adjustments. Oh yeah, and I remember Orange loved this. He loved this add-on and the PTB. I remember he made a video where he played some matches as Blight and actually was using the Iridescent Blight tag and really enjoyed it. A rush attack, successful or missed, failing to slam, or failing to slam, or breaking a pallet with Iridescent Blight attack. It quits will now cost the Blight Spirit to be put on cooldown for 20 seconds. This costs the party going cooldown more often, creating more opportunities for the survivor to evade the killer. So basically, what they did was they went, okay, infinite rush blight, who only loses the power if he hits somebody. Kind of a dumb idea. Let's give players a chance by okay, I think it's interesting that they gave it more caveats because, you know, the idea of it being infinite is already kind of, until you hit somebody, is already kind of crazy. But I do think it's fair that they wanted to give it more cooldowns. Adrenaline Bottle. Originally, this add-on provided many positive effects, making it a jack of all trades. On the PTB, we simply simplified the add-on by removing some of the effects. This left the add-on weaker than we'd like. Good job, behavior. So we've made the following changes. We have removed the turn rate penalty, was minus 55%. That is a ridiculous amount. We've also reintroduced a 5% rush speed bonus, was 10%. Interesting. So Blight's changes on paper don't sound bad. And I will say on paper, Sadako's changes don't sound terrible because you're just reading that. But once you think about it more critically, Sadako really only had one change that was even somewhat like that they could keep, in my opinion. And again, the lockdown mechanic. But Blight's add-ons on paper don't they sound pretty good. Like the changes that they gave him were pretty good. So I'm definitely interested to hear what good Blight players say, like what their takes are on it. The Hillbilly. Start your chainsaws. We were pleased to see such a positive response to the Hillbilly on PTB. For the release, we'd like to take the opportunity to improve a few more add-ons and offer as many viable choices as possible. So that wording is interesting to me because I didn't get to experience any. Well, let me explain. During the PTB, when I made my video playing Billy, I not once got to use, I not once did overdrive. I didn't know how overdrive worked, and quite frankly, now I have watched Orange's video on it, but I'm still a little of his PTB videos, but I'm still confused as to how this actually worked. It was super cool to watch Orange play as it because again I was unable to do it once, but yeah, Blight. But but I know a lot of people love Billy's changes. I enjoyed watching it, so I'm very excited to see. And it's nice to know that they aren't touching his power, so it'll be interesting to see what they did some of the add-ons. greased throttle and the Thompson's mix. On the PTB, these sounds reduced the recovery time for successful chainsaw hits. This understandably didn't provide much benefit in most cases. They now reduce. Oh. Okay, so they're giving them more effects. Cool. They now reduce recovery time after using the chainsaw. So originally they reduced the recovery time for a successful chainsaw hit, but if you're absolute dog shit as hillbilly, like a certain someone that you're currently watching the video of, you will not then that does jack diddly squat for you. But now just it looks like anytime you use the chainsaw, you get the recovery time. So basically, if you successfully hit the chainsaw, you get this recovery time. If you miss, you still get it, and I think that's good. Again, it might be a little too strong, but other than that, I think it's good. Not just successful hits, so low, by 8% and 12% respectively. Well, that's 10 and 15%. See, that's fair. They increased how much. So they increased how often these add-ons would work by basically making it anytime you use the chainsaw, but they also brought the add-ons down a little bit. That is totally fair and fine. Thermal casing, and ragged engine. Simple number tweaks for these. Thermal casing and ragged engine now decrease the speed of which heat dissipates when not using chainsaw by 20%, 30% respectively, with 10%, 15% keep it warm. So they decrease the speed at which heat dissipates when not using it by more. That's good. That's interesting. Discarded air filter and high-speed Iowa screw. I'm very interested on the perks because I know a lot of people hated the Save the Best for Last change, and I actually kind of liked it a little bit. And then Quick Gambit sounded absolutely worse. Quick Gambit still, well, it didn't sound worse, but it sounded better a little bit because you had a bigger meter, but it didn't sound good enough for people to actually start using it. But we're not there yet. So the discarded L filter and the high-speed Iowa screw, these two add-ons increase the time it takes before overdrive starts dissipating. We've also increased the number on these to 20%, 30% respectively. It was 15% and 20%. Interesting perks. Lastly, we've got a pair of tweaks for two of the perks which were updated in PLF this past PTB. So, get this. I had a feeling that if they were going to touch any perks, it would be these two. The reason why I bought this for two reasons. Number one, I was the only person who liked to Save the Best for Last PTB change. But even then, I think I had so I knew very quickly that Save the Best for Last was definitely going to get touched because, again, I was seemingly the only person who liked it. Quick Gambit, I wasn't the biggest fan of, and everybody agreed with me on that one. So I had a very big feeling it would be those two perks. So I'm very excited. Let's find out what they did. Save the Best for Last. This is the one with my controversial opinion. So let's see. During the PTP, Save the Best for Last will lose tokens whenever the session lasts a healthy state by any means. So like the special attacks, so hitting like DM2 killers, or just smacking them in the face. Just smacking them normally. This allowed the obsession to do silly things, such as intentionally. Oh, interesting. So it's kind of sounds like they're So it sounds like all they really did for Save the Best for Last. So it sounds like Save the Best for Last is mostly because of survivors is why it's here. That's interesting. Because these sessions could potentially allowing us So the pain just bleed out from deep wounds, as he said, in order to reduce the killer, save the best for last seconds. Save the best for last will now lose 2 tokens whenever the obsession is hit by a basic attack or a special attack. I don't... Okay, so basically what they did is they actually somewhat inadvertent. So if based off of their reasoning for this perk being here, then yeah, if you take in that context of the session, like letting the cells bleed out or whatever to screw the killer over, this perk got buffed in that context, because now you have to intentionally hit the obsession with either your special attack, so again DM2 killers, or by a basic attack. They will lose 2 tokens. You will lose, if you're the killer, you will lose 2 tokens. But now you can't lose your tokens without intentionally hitting the obsession. So the obsession could just can't stop you from getting tokens by bleeding out or whatnot, because, well, okay, if they let themselves bleed out, you're still losing tokens, but it's not by any means anymore. There's actually some... You actually have to take a hit by the killer. You can't, like, kind of cheat it a little bit. This way, especially when they put themselves in harm's way in order to reduce the killers to accumulate tokens. So that'll be interesting to see. That one... Okay, I'm not sure what this watch list thing is going to be about, so I'm a little nervous to see about what that is, but we'll see. Anyways, so, I'm definitely interested in hearing other opinions on Save the Best for Last. It sounds good, but again, it sounds, a lot of things are going to sound good on paper, but like, but I guess, I mean, no, it's definitely better, because if you let yourself bleed out via deep wound, the killer's only losing those 2 initial tokens. So, quick gambit. This one I was very interested in seeing what they would do, because I had a big feeling this was going to get changed. The PTB feature changed for quick gambit, which increases effective range and simultaneously lowered the repair speed bonus. When he felt as if this lowered repair speed was not worth the added risk of potentially killer to your repair tooth, it wasn't. In fact, in my opinion, that makes it less good. That makes it less enticing, because you're giving your friend, you're giving your fellow teammate, you're giving whoever it is, a less of a boost for bringing the killer somewhat to them, even if the range was somewhat increased. You know what I mean? Therefore, we have reverted the repair bonus. Quick Gambit now provides a 6, 7, 8% repair speed bonuses rather than 30 meters. So, 36 meters, sorry. So that will be interesting to see. I'm not saying it's bad, but it'll be interesting to see, because Quick Gambit is, when Quick Gambit released, it was absolutely terrible of a perk. Their idea of trying to make it useful is what they just reverted, basically giving it more range, but it has less repair speed. Now, because people complain, because that makes it arguably less enticing, they now reverted the repair progress. So the perk might start being used a little bit, maybe, but like, again, because you are bringing the killer somewhat by your teammate, there is always going to be some... Oh, looks like this is just about the other perks. Watch list. Before we leave off, we wanted to try something new. The watch list. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure they've never done this before. They didn't have this before. We do our best to make informed decisions with each update. You try to, but you just pissed off everybody with your sadako change in the same thing. Good job, behavior. Sometimes we need to take a closer look and see how something plays out in a real setting before we commit to making changes. That is true. I'm sorry, have you not been doing that behavior, you dumbasses? Anyways. Hopefully, I don't want to leave you in the dark in the meantime. This is where the watch list comes in. The items on this list are things we'll be keeping an extra close eye on once the update goes live before determining if further changes are necessary. Oh, Sadako is on here, thank God, because you just pissed off all of the players. Just note, please note, sorry. Just because something is featured on this list does not guarantee that it will be changed. Likewise, things not on this list are also subject to change as needed. I mean, yeah. The purpose of this list is to provide visibility on what we're monitoring and acknowledge the feedback we've been given. Grim Embrace plus Domain Switch. This per combo is reported to be potentially problematic on the PTB. When Grim Embrace activates, survivors are forced to stop repairing the generator, causing Domain Switch to activate and block the generator for an even longer period of time. This gives the killer a consistent way to activate Domain Switch on all generators and take advantage of nearly the entire duration. Though the combo requires 2 perk slots, this can cause the generators to be blocked for quite a while. We will keep an eye on this build and make sure it does not get out of hand. So anyways, if it starts becoming like a huge problem, then you're going to do something. But in the meantime, all we can really do is wait and see what the verdict is. And generator changes. Generators are at the core of every trial, so any changes we make to them must be monitored closely. Unfortunately, due to an error, the system was temporarily disabled when the PTP went live. Behavior. What are you doing? Learning about feedback we were able to collect. We'd like to get more info on how the system plays out in real matches before drawing any conclusions. That makes me think that those generator changes may have potentially been in here. Like, they may have potentially had a generator change in here. If it wasn't for having an error in their system during the PTB, but still, the generator changes this PTB is so bizarre and wild. I really don't understand. It really is just bizarre. So I'm very interested in seeing where this goes. The regression event system is not intended to impact a typical match, but instead to help bring an end to excessively long stalemates. If we see something concerns that the system may in fact impact matches where several regression perks are used at once. This doesn't seem to happen often on the PTB, but it's possible this may be more common on the live game where matches are much closer. Yeah, I would say if you want my opinion on this, which if you clicked on this video, then you kind of do, especially if you got this far into it. Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing to be concerned about. When I read the changes, there were parts of it that I thought were I thought it was interesting, but I can't remember my exact wordings on it anymore. But I remember kind of basically being like, I could see some potential problems with it. So I'm very happy that they'll be monitoring it more, because again, that's helpful. The regression event system is because, you know, it has on Sadako has gone through quite a few changes lately, and that can make it difficult to predict where she'll fall in terms of strength. Oh, I can tell you immediately where I can tell you where a lot of players are placing her right now. In terms of tier list, at the bottom. Her changes are so bad. People have made a brand new tier for her because, anyway, so let me explain. So, when it comes to tier list, and I don't remember, and I know Starva is constantly changing his tier list to try to make it better and more concise on how killers can be better and they can be worse depending on like the player and their experiences and whatnot. But the thing is he's so I don't know if he still has it, but at one point he added a tier
called A plus tier in between A and S for those sort of in between characters. But a lot of people, I don't know. I know you made a video on this PTB. I haven't watched it yet, but like a tier list on the PTB changes. But I do know that a lot of people, maybe some of them jokingly, were basically saying that Sadako, it once these changes go live, will be F tier. So again, there's already so much backlash on this that behavior might have to say, you know what, we need to change it. But if they don't, then they'll need to. But if they don't, they continue to monitor. Hopefully, the monitoring, and if the monitoring doesn't show what the fans were complaining about, then I guess the players overreacted. I guess I don't know. We'll see what happens though. But it would be nice for Sadako to get some of that strength back, because we feel pretty confident with this version. God damn it. But we will be watching carefully to see if any dominant strategies or shortcomings emerge and reassess as needed. Hold up, I want to send Orange a picture real quick of that Sadako working. I'll do that later, but if he says something interesting about it, I'll let you know in the video. But yeah, but we'll be watching carefully to see if any dominant strategies or shortcomings emerge and reassess as needed. What's interesting is I get that behavior does have a lot of behavior. I'm not sure what to think of this. I'm sure behavior already has seen like tons of backlash on Sadako, and I guess we'll have to see what ends up happening. If they do have another post about it, I'll obviously react to it. I try to react to these major posts because they have changes that affect the game. Even if they're little bug fixes, that still affects the game, you know? The Hillbilly. The Hillbilly has a lot of potential, but a steep learning curve. His learning curve is so steep that in my years of playing, I've not once thought I was anywhere competent as him. A good Hillbilly can be scary as is. He sure can be, but the overdrive mechanic can make them even scarier. I mean, yeah, it may take some time for Hillbilly players to get used to the way the chainsaw controls during overdrive. Yeah, I noticed in Orange's video, and again, he's done somewhat well as Billy before, but he definitely doesn't consider himself good as Billy on account of Billy is, well, not great. But yeah, it may take some time for Hillbilly players to get, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just read that. You manage your heat effectively. Yeah, you do need to manage that pretty well, so that's a fair thing to monitor. We can see the lots of Hillbilly players master the chainsaw or shake off the ROS to determine if some fine-tuning is needed down the line. Yeah, that's fair. Was that we've reached the end of this developer update. Each of the changes mentioned in this post will be available when the update goes live in January 30th. In 5 days, we're all gonna. In 5 days, you will see a lot less Sonic players. Happy. We look forward to hearing what you think. Until next time, we look forward to hearing what you think. And everybody bashed what they called, what they call pretty confident. That's it. Okay. Okay, but so let me give you my final thoughts. My final thoughts are a lot of the changes sound pretty good. The quick gambit change of actually being, I think I mentioned in the video that I would have liked if they kept the repair speeds and whatnot, but just increase and also increase the range because it was such a not used perk. And if I didn't, I thought about it later, I guess. But the quick gambit change makes me personally very happy. That was a perk I've been very much monitoring and wanting it to get better. I do have a perk I absolutely despise, and I would love for them to at some point touch it, but they have yet to do that, so if I receive that perk in one of these, I will be immediately interested. But yeah, quick gambit, I'm very excited to test out and see what it's like. Save the best for last. I mean, it sounds better, but we'll have to wait and see. It does sound like a buff in terms of the context that they were saying why they kind of gave it some other changes. Billy, I liked Billy. I like how Billy, I like how it was Billy, they kept his changes because we still need to we need to get used to his changes for them to really do any major changing because they changed him so much. Even if he is still just swinging a chainsaw, just running it, it was a chainsaw. The add-on stuff sounded pretty good. Blight's add-ons didn't sound too terrible either. Overall, this sounded fairly balanced in terms of a change. It's just that the Sadako change was so bad for seemingly seemingly everybody that it kind of overshadowed the rest of this. Personally, I understand the hate of Sadako, and I definitely agree it's pretty big nerf, but I'm still just so excited about the other things as well. That for me, so definitely expect if behavior makes on the first if they release a new one of these sometime soon-ish, or within whenever the next thing to read from behavior comes out, the next post thing, I will definitely be there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, ring the bell, do all the anniversary garbage. It helps us out a lot. It means a lot to us. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.